All right. Hello, everyone. The time is 4:53 p.m. It is November 26th. Welcome to another update from Great Lakes Weather. Hopefully, you had a great Thanksgiving and Black Friday. Yeah, Black Friday's right after Thanksgiving. But now we're getting back into the turn into December. And with that turn into December, we're actually going to see some thunderstorms. Yes. As a matter of fact, thunderstorms might make a return to the Great Lakes region before we see winter make a comeback. Now, those storms are likely going to be severe farther down to the south in parts of Texas, Louisiana, Arkansas, those places. And the question is, how intense the storms are going to be up here. With the temperatures as low as they are, it's likely not going to be very strong, but there's going to be a lot of lift in the atmosphere, which I'm going to show you in a minute, that's really going to contribute to the potential for some thunderstorms associated with a new cold front coming through on Tuesday. So we're going to get to that. Make sure to subscribe to stay updated on all the weather things that are going to be happening up until Christmas. Uncertain of a white Christmas as of this moment, seeing some new changes in the models that show there could be some warm-ups prior to Christmas, so we'll get to that as we get closer to it. But we're going to start off by looking at what these different models are saying. Here's the SPC's forecast. Okay, so this is what is happening right now. Currently, there is some stronger storms down in parts of Mississippi, Alabama. Those places along the shoreline could see a few potential tornadoes with that, and there could be some severe weather tomorrow. The SPC hasn't delineated any particular setup for that in the Carolinas, given the the lack of a very favorable environment for severe weather. But there is a lot of lift associated with this particular low pressure system moving through that could bring some changes to the weather in the Carolinas that could bring some possible damaging wind gusts, maybe a few tornadoes, a lot of lift in the atmosphere. Indiana and Ohio could get in on some of that action. Not going to be any severe weather in that general area, but it does look like you could see maybe some thunderstorms tomorrow connected with this initial low that is moving through the area. But the real concern is coming for Tuesday. So Tuesday, this is what is currently shown for Tuesday. This is something the Storm Prediction Center has outlined 5 days before the actual event. This 30% risk area, this is something we haven't seen often. So this is something that is likely something to pay attention to. But 30% risk across the ArkLaMiss region, including a part of Texas as well. It looks very similar to that risk area that was set up for the tornado that went through 4 states last year, the quad state tornado. I'm not going to say it's going to be of that magnitude because that was a very intense day, but this particular setup does have a favorable scenario for a tornado outbreak. We're going to look at that, why that is the case, in just a minute. But before we get to that, let's look at what's going on in the upper levels of the atmosphere with the 500 millibar height anomaly. So 500 millibars, this is at the upper levels of the atmosphere associated to where the jet streams might be. You can see there's a high pressure system really sitting out over the Arkansas region. So this area is actually allowing for ejections of Arctic air into the western United States. So this area in the western United States has seen a lot of cold weather. In fact, parts of Seattle, I heard, are going to get 4 to 6 inches of snow. So that's pretty impressive for that area. But on the eastern side, we have seen a balanced shift between warm and cold air. But that shift between warm and cold air has also enabled those low pressure systems that can produce strong thunderstorms to kind of move through the area as well with those changes that are taking place. So that's influencing this upcoming storm that's going to be Tuesday into Wednesday. That's going to produce some intense storms. This trough, you can see right here, the low that's going to follow this trough is going to produce that severe weather in the lower continental United States and maybe even in southern parts of the Great Lakes. I'm seeing some potential in southern Indiana, southern Ohio with all that lift that there could be some damaging winds in particular with this setup that we have here. And then you see another ridge building in with some warmer air, and then I am looking at the potential for maybe some snow on December 5th associated with another Arctic blast that's going to kind of be farther off to our north but could still allow for some snow potential, and then even some icing occurring in parts of Indiana and Ohio connected with that event. And that's something that's a little bit farther out. We can't make a completely full determination on that just yet. But with these changes, there could be some weather that comes about as a result. But this high pressure system is still sitting over this area and is allowing for that cold Arctic air. And if we see this high pressure shift to the east, that's going to enable once again for us to get much cooler air across the eastern continental United States. So that's something to wait for, because it is likely that that's going to occur again during this winter season. So let's move into what we're expecting to see across our area. This is the GFS model. Right now it's a bit different from the Euro model. Things are differing in regards to it, but I'm going to show you what the GFS is saying and then give you a close-up view with the Euro of what we're expecting in the Great Lakes region. So this is what's happening right now. You got that low that's producing some potential severe weather across the southern continental United States and some rain showers. This is actually going to bring rain showers to our area tomorrow, and if you live in parts of Indiana and Ohio, you could likely see maybe some rumbles of thunder, some lightning connected with this as well as it moves in by Sunday morning. Sunday morning, you got that heavy rain moving through, and you have that low beginning to shift up into our area and getting a sounding. There is low-level wind shear, which will allow for lift in these storms. There is not much storm relative velocity, but there is enough to prompt some. It's a good lifting mechanism that will enable some thunderstorms to occur. Not looking at any severe weather in Indiana and Ohio. So not really too concerned in regards to that. SRH value is going to be too low to accommodate for that. Whereas in the Carolinas, it looks like there could be some potential for some storms with the higher levels of lifting. Not really much CAPE in the atmosphere to enable for that to become a very intense event, though. So not really concerned about severe weather on that day. That low pressure system is going to move off to the east, not really bring much impactful winter weather. Not really expecting winter weather on the back edge of this unless you live in northern Michigan. There might be a brief shot of snow connected to that. And then it'll get a little bit cooler. We'll see temperatures in the low 40s on Monday, maybe cooler over the weekend. And then by the time we get into Tuesday, you can see this low kind of sitting off to the east. This is actually on that in that break between the warmer air mass and the colder air mass where that jet stream is really going to be. So that's going to fuel the deepening of this low pressure system as it moves in to the area. So it's going to move in, and you really see not too much action on the GFS model or what it's showing, but you do get a sounding from this area. You do see that really good tornado sounding. You've got CAPE all the way from 9 kilometers above the surface to the surface. There's not really any break between not really any closing between the lapse rate and the temperature itself. You can see CAPE values around 800. Look at the SRH. SRH is at about 300, 200. So there is enough SRH to prompt the potential for some tornadoes down in that area. And that number does tend to increase as we go into the overnight hours. So looking at a nocturnal tornado event on Tuesday night, not a good particular event to be chasing. Some people probably will be, especially since the Little Rock radar system is down. So that's going to be something for them to watch. And you do see that there is some thunderstorm potential kind of showing up in Michigan as early as Tuesday morning as well. And you do see there is some SRH. There's not really much inflow, and there's not really much CAPE, though. So that's really not going to be a good event for anywhere in the Great Lakes region. There is a good deal of low-level wind shear. Wouldn't be surprised if there could be maybe some minor damaging winds or some really scattered damaging winds with this particular setup as well. I just lost my place on here. But you could see that this low, it gets pretty deep, and it shoots off into the northeast and bringing thunderstorms along with it. And it looks like these thunderstorms may last into Georgia with a marginal severe threat on the backside, getting out of that favorable environment. But on the backside, you can see that it gets a lot colder, and there might even be some snow, lake effect snow, on the backside of this Wednesday night into Thursday. So that's going to be something to watch. I'm not expecting a lot of accumulations from that, though, in particular. It is going to be a rather abrupt change in temperature for much of the Great Lakes region, though. We're going to be in the mid to upper 50s before this low pressure system moves through, and then on the backside of it, we'll be in the mid 30s once again. So we'll have to see how that turns out, but with that 23-degree temperature difference that we'll have on the backside of it, you can very clearly see that snow is going to be a good probability, or lake effect snow, according to the GFS model. Maybe even some freezing rain with that as well, but something to be watching. It will be colder Wednesday night into Thursday morning. Let's zoom in to our general area. I do want to go a little bit ahead here, though, on the GFS to give you the information on that possible winter storm we could see coming in on Monday, December 5th, Tuesday, December 6th. Looking at the long-range models, you do see that this low will get some inflow. It will get some inflow from the Gulf, okay? some inflow from the Gulf, some moist air coming in, and that will allow for it to just dump some freezing rain, maybe some snow in parts of Indiana and Ohio, and again, kind of dump more as we get into parts of Michigan as well. It looks like it could be a decent snowmaker. We'll have to see how it develops on the models as we get closer to the event. All right, let's go to the regional maps. So this is right now. As we get into Sunday, you can see those thunderstorms start to move in. You get a sounding from eastern Indiana. You do see a setup for some thunderstorms. You do have that those SRH values in the 300s, and you do have wind shear in the atmosphere. Low temperatures, though, not prompting the ability for much CAPE to be produced, the instability that is needed to fuel those thunderstorms or energize those to become much stronger. Not really that energy there in the atmosphere. As we move into Tuesday, again, that low pressure system, you can see it's pretty deep. Likely going to be some winds associated with this particular scenario. You've got snow in Wisconsin, parts of the Upper Peninsula, Minnesota, and that's going to kind of sit over that general area, dump probably quite a bit of snow in northern Wisconsin by Wednesday, November 30th. And then you see these thunderstorms on the front side of the court, in front of the cold front, I guess we should say. So you can get a sounding, and you do see that low level of wind shear. You do not have enough CAPE, though, to foster anything really intense. And then the SRH values are at 300 to 400. Not really much inflow, though, that will allow for those stronger storms, such as tornadoes, to really get into the general area. But we do see the potential for maybe some marginally severe weather connected with this. And again, these models are likely to change, so we'll have to see how they change as we get closer to the event. But with the amount of shear that could be in place, even in parts of the Great Lakes region, it's something to just keep watch over with these storms energizing all along the cold front. So it does show some sounding analogs, and it does indicate maybe the potential for some hail. And the sounding definitely looks conducive for hail. So could be some hailers within this, and then on the backside we get that much cooler air as was shown already. And then as we go towards that time for that winter storm event, we're not getting there just yet, but we do see the potential for that winter storm coming up Tuesday, December 6th. All right, let's look at some of the severe weather dynamics for this event. So I'm going to find a good time to freeze frame it on. All right, so I think I'm going to stop it at Wednesday, November 30th at about 9. So that's about hour 93. Yep, hour 93. All right, so let's look at the environment that's in place for this particular weather event in the Great Lakes. You got a lot of southwesterly winds at the 700 millibar height, so the mid layer. So that's mid layer wind shear that's going to be enabled to take shape, and then the jet is just taking off with this as well. It's actually taking off farther north than what the GFS is actually portraying it to be. So with that strong jet that is in Michigan, Indiana, Ohio, that will allow for more wind shear that will enable those thunderstorms to become a little bit stronger. And then close to the surface, you have those winds also in front of the front that will allow for those storms to become strong. I actually want to back it up to where that more favorable tornado setup is and have a look there. It's kind of looking a little more rugged with the latest models. It does displace the mid-layer wind shear a bit farther north than would be the main tornado threat zone. So we'll see how that evolves as we get closer, but we are getting close enough to the event to determine, yeah, this is probably going to be something we want to watch. So we'll want to just wait to see what is shown there. Severe weather dynamics, let's look at the mixed layer CAPE. You got the CAPE values of about 2,000 ahead of the main line of storms that will be possible to produce tornadoes. Bulk shear, you can see there is wind shear in pretty much across much of the eastern United States. You've got wind shear, a lot of wind shear in the atmosphere ahead of this main front, and then you do have those changes of winds in the different levels of the atmosphere that could contribute to storms. So right now in the Great Lakes region, looking like a minor risk for anything. In fact, maybe not even a risk at all. It depends on what the SPC makes their determination on. But we are looking at the potential for thunderstorms Tuesday night into Wednesday across the Great Lakes region. Some of those storms may pack a damaging wind gust or two, but we have to wait to make a certain determination on what could occur. And again, watching that winter storm potential later on in the following week after this. All right, so that's pretty much all I wanted to show you. Hopefully this video was helpful in getting some information out to you. Make sure to subscribe, stay updated on this particular weather event. There could be some severe weather, probably some weather that'll make the news across parts of the ArkLaMiss region on Tuesday, and hopefully it doesn't have as much of an impact on our area as it could potentially down there. All right, so hopefully it was helpful, and stay updated, and I will see you all at the next update.